In this module, we're going to be taking a look at functions in JavaScript and what they are and how to use them, as well as some of the benefits and limitations of functions. So let's dive right in. Let's start out looking at what a function is and why they're useful for us. So a function is a named section of code that performs a specific task. In other words, it's a group of code, of lines of code, that's put together and given a name so that we can execute all of those lines of code by just using that one name. Functions can be called or run. Called is what we typically say when we are running a function or using a function. We can call a function from anywhere else in your main program, including inside other functions. Functions are great because they reduce redundancy in your code by producing reusable sections of code that you can use with different pieces of data in different areas of your code. And the nice thing about that is that you don't have to rewrite the same code over and over and over. Functions also simplify debugging, which basically makes it easier for us to reduce errors or eliminate errors in our code by organizing our code into specific chunks that have a specific job. And that way, if we have an error in our code, it's pretty easy to find the section of code, if we're using functions, that's being run or that's producing the error. So that's a really nice thing also. So how does a function work? In JavaScript, a function looks like this. It might be a very simple function, and this one has inside it one line of code that says return int a plus int b. Basically, it is sending back, as a result of the function, the sum of two integers, int a and int b. Now, typically a function is going to take input from the outside. That input from the outside is in the form of arguments, which is when we give a function values from the outside of the function, and the function then can use those values to produce the result. So in this case, we're giving the function integer a and integer b, and then that function's job is to add them up, and then finally it returns a result. And that's what that return keyword is inside the function. It says basically, let's send the result back to the main program so that the main program can use it in some way. So that the three big parts of a function that you might recognize here are the function itself, the arguments, and the return value. So remember, the arguments are what goes into the function. The function itself is the code that processes or does what it's supposed to. And then the return value is what the function sends back as its result.